Yo, what is good, everybody? It is your boy, Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me, and I am back. I'm back with part 4 of What If Deku had a Telekinesis Quirk. This will most likely be the second to last episode of this series, so if you enjoy it, make sure to show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, all that good stuff, all the stuff I normally ask for. With that said, though, I hope you all enjoy the video and hope you all continue to enjoy these videos. And yeah, that's about it. I don't really got much more to say, and let's just get right into the what if. Let's get it. Izuku Midoriya is now heralded as someone that defeated or helped defeat the one and only All For One. All For One, Shigaraki, and even many of the League of Villains were captured during the process, stopping the reign of terror that would have came very, very soon. The good thing is they're going to prevent a ton of things from happening that would have happened in the near future. But there are still many, many hurdles that Izuku will need to jump through, starting with getting his provisional hero license. It all starts when he goes back to UA. Yes, he's commended for all the help he's done, and yes, he may even be suitable for a pro hero, but he still needs to jump through the hurdles that will get him to pro hero status, which starts with the provisional hero licensing exam. Izuku and Class 1A would then prepare for that said thing, and midweek they would head over to do just that. Everybody there would be shocked, would be excited. Oh my god, it's Class 1A, freaking out at the fact that these are the students from UA. Many people introduce themselves, greet each other, and even Izuku is somewhat known, but that's just because of the All For One fight. Izuku isn't actually known from the UA Sports Festival like everybody else. So if we're talking about his quirk usage, they have no idea how his quirk truly works. With that said, though, Izuku would begin to more or less just prepare mentally and get ready for this provisional hero licensing exam, because the first one is very similar to kind of like dodgeball. You take these red balls and you basically tag people in this kind of radar system they have on their chest, and once you eliminate 2 people, then you actually get on to the next round. Izuku is locked in, ready to go, and frankly, one of the biggest benefits that Izuku has himself is the fact that they don't really know who he is at all. He's kind of an unknown. They know him from obviously the whole fight with All For One, like I said, but they don't know exactly how he works, don't know his quirk, and don't know what he could do. They just know he's strong. That's about it. With all those unknowns, they're kind of in a weird spot. Everybody is kind of in a weird spot. I mean, what are they supposed to do? I mean, they know so much about the other students, so maybe they should just avoid Izuku. But that is a lot easier said than done, because there is no avoiding the telekinesis that Izuku can output. On top of the fact that they've gotten a ton of training in, Izuku has now been able to utilize his telekinesis in more creative and, well, mind-bending ways. His telekinesis quirk has expanded and has gained strength throughout this time. So when they all decide to, and many people, many classes and schools decide to attack UA, well, this would go extremely wrong for them. They would all jump into action ready to attack UA, but all of them would freeze mid-air, some floating, some stuck in the ground, and some just laying still. Everybody is stuck. Everybody is shocked to see this, and even the people that are stuck are shocked as well. 2 of them would immediately be eliminated by balls that gets thrown to them without them even noticing where they came from, as if they were just levitating out of nowhere. Izuku would now pass, but just as he's about to let everybody down, a lot of his own classmates begin to throw the red balls toward the other students as well. A ton of UA students have just passed in a matter of a minute, and everybody, or most most if not everybody of UA is almost a guaranteed pass or lock in for the next round. Izuku would float off and head toward the next area, and he would sit down in the waiting room. Many people who are currently going in and more or less entering the waiting room would approach him and ask him how he did such a thing, what even happened. He wouldn't really give much, but he would just say that his quirk has strengthened far more than they could possibly imagine. And on top of that, they weren't actually able to gain information on Izuku. Lacking that information definitely put them in a, well, extremely bad spot. Izuku knows this to be true and knows that maybe even with preparation, they wouldn't have stood a chance anyways. But that is not something he really even needs to think about, at least at this moment. With that said though, Izuku and Class 1A are on to the very next round, which is more of a rescue type of round. There are going to be actors and actresses playing this role of a victim, and they're going to have to go help them out. This will be extremely simple for Izuku. He's going to help with more or less fallen rubble, getting people out of sticky situations, and actually helping with base camp in terms of the heavy lifting of getting certain items and different people in proper situations. This would be extremely easy for Izuku in the long run, something that he's actually used to already. So he does just that. He gets everyone set and everyone ready, on top of more or less getting a ton of people more or less out of the rubble, and this would give him an insane score, more or less flying up the charts as one of the top heroes. And this is amazing, obviously, for Izuku. This is fantastic. Izuku continues to gain more and more, and after all of it is said and done, he's now, well, ready. He's ready to more or less pass this portion of the exam, while many others in the class with him are in a bit of a state of struggle. At least Bakugo. Bakugo isn't the best with his manners, so it would be trouble. In terms of people like Momo Yaoyorozu, in which Izuku actually helped in the very beginning of this, well, they won't have that much trouble at all. Momo is extremely good for this job, especially when setting things up for base camp and helping other people save other people. And also, on top of that, she can apply a lot of first aid and help in that regard as well. But when the alarms begin to siren and loud screams are then heard, seemingly from some sort of radio system, a bunch of villains would then arrive. At the forefront would be Gang Orca, one of the heroes, one of the stronger heroes at that, being that of someone in the top 10, and Gang Orca would point forward as if he's laying siege on the city, the broken down city they're currently in. He would charge forward with the villains that are basically attacking with him, and Shoro Todoroki and Inasa would actually step up to fight him. But the issue here is they're having a bit of a power struggle in a way. They're not having a good time overall, and frankly, they're not in the best of moods themselves. They don't like each other at all. They frankly despise each other, and this is pretty prevalent with the just over the top arguing they have, and more or less just everything spiraling and going downhill quicker than you could possibly imagine. But luckily enough, Izuku could come to the rescue. Gang Orca was about to more or less capitalize on their downfalls, but luckily Izuku is able to get their head straight, and with a combined effort, he's able to freeze Gang Orca in place. In doing so, he actually leaves a massive opening for Inasa and Todoroki, finally getting their heads on straight, making this vortex that surrounds Gang Orca, draining him of all of the hydration and water within his body. And since Izuku is holding him still and containing all of that fire and wind in one condensed motion, there is no getting out for him. Eventually, the whole thing would be called off because, for one, the time ran out, but also Gang Orca is unable to fight as well. He is a pro hero, he is strong, so he's not going to be hurt or anything after this is all said and done. But at the same time, he is in a pretty bad spot overall. He gets up and is able to get some water, rehydrated, but after all that is said and done, even Gang Orca walks over toward Izuku and says that he's really impressed. Frankly, he didn't think all the hype was warranted initially because he thought maybe he didn't really help that much in terms of the whole fight with All For One. But this right here is obvious that, well, he's done one hell of a job. And he's going to continue to doing one heck of a job as long as he's, well, working to be a hero. This is amazing for Izuku. Izuku will take this to heart and even thanking him for the kind words and so on. And Izuku would just be happy to hear that someone like Gang Orca is truly singing his praises. With all that said and done, they would await the official review of who passes the provisional hero licensing exam. And Izuku would obviously pass. He would pass by a long shot. But 3 people would actually fall quite short, being that of Todoroki, Bakugo, and also Inasa. 2 people from UA not passing kind of sucks, but I mean, it was kind of their fault. By kinda, I mean, you know, was really their fault. They really messed up in terms of the way they were acting and so on and so forth. So this does seem pretty punishable in the long run in terms of what they could and could not do. When they arrived back at UA though, the training would not stop there. They would immediately jump into something called a work study, and more explanation is to come from the big 3. With Tamaki and Nejire not really getting to the point and kind of being lackluster as teachers, it would eventually lead to Mirio telling them all to fight him, which seems to be not the best idea in the world, but of course it would eventually be allowed. They would go into the gym and a large fight between the entirety of Class 1A and Mirio would spur on. Now, this fight though would be a little bit different. The fight between the entirety of Class 1A and Mirio would actually be a little bit closer than you would possibly imagine. The fact that Izuku has a Telekinesis Quirk, a quirk that arguably would counter Mirio pretty hard, it would actually benefit the Class 1A students a lot. But at the same time, it's more of Izuku that's doing the job. As it turns out to more or less be a quick and easy fight for Mirio outside of Izuku, especially when he knocks out a couple of the other students. Since the other students can't output while Izuku is making him vulnerable, it then comes down to just Izuku versus Mirio. This fight alone is insane. Izuku doesn't want to set up his classmates anymore and doesn't have to with them already out. So he begins to actually full-on assault Mirio. They begin to fight, and it's clear that Izuku can not only keep up, but might even have the advantage. Every time Mirio would get close, it seems that he would slow down and Izuku would land shots to his body without Mirio even really realizing it, giving him openings and continuing to exploit weaknesses. Mirio seems to be actually falling behind. This is kind of insane. Someone from the big 3, not only just the big 3, someone that once he's out of high school could arguably be a top 5 hero, is being more or less outdueled by a student, someone that is literally a first year. Now this is insane, and this even makes Mirio kind of smile, knowing exactly why Night Eye has such an interest in this kid. Eventually the fight would be cut short by Aizawa, telling them both to stop. The fight would stop, and Mirio is kind of sad by this because he was just about to crank it up tenfold, making him even stronger, but of course maybe we're not going to be able to see that just quite yet. With that said though, Izuku is excited to continue training with Mirio and so on and so forth, and Mirio, hearing this, actually says that it seems that Sir Night Eye really wants him, well, in there, so they'll definitely be training together really soon. With some more information about a work study and so on and so forth, it seems that it's inevitable that Izuku heads over to Sir Night Eye's agency. maybe, just maybe, Sir Night Eye sees something in Izuku to help himself as a hero, help the people around him, or even maybe they think that Izuku would be a definite great addition to actually helping in an expedition against Overhaul. Someone that runs the Shiha Hazaikai and someone that has been troubling them for a long time. So if they get Izuku in there, there's a massive counter using his telekinesis that at the end of the day would benefit all of them. But how will Izuku keep his temper in check throughout that time? We know what's to come, so when Izuku arrives at Sir Night Eye's agency, they begin speaking about what is to happen. He learns about Overhaul, learns about what he's been doing, and so on and so forth, eventually leading to Mirio and Izuku going out on a patrol. But that patrol would change everything in Izuku's life, would change everything in the mindset of Izuku. His mind breaks when he gets frustrated, pissed, sad. When his emotions run wild, his quirk does as well. Power will always come at a cost. What happens when Izuku bumps into that little girl that is innocent, and she is terrified? From the core of his being, he can tell that she's shivering in fear, and out of the darkness comes Overhaul. What happens to his emotions and his quirk when this occurs? Well, you'll have to find out in the next part of What If Deku Had a Telekinesis Quirk. And the next part will be the finale. If you enjoyed, make sure to show some love. Like I said, leave a like, leave a sub, and leave a comment down below. All that good stuff. And I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.